we are going to sit down and have a conversation with Angelo Hightower. Are you born and raised in Southern Illinois? A transplant? Where are you from?
I'm a transplant, but I've lived there for quite a long time. I think you guys were at the forum we had at Maggie's Pizza where I indicated I was from Chicago. However, I've lived here since just shy of my 13th birthday. So,
Oh, okay.
So I've been here minus the military for 30-something years.
Wow. So really you kind of grew up here.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of times you're younger adolescents, you don't remember as much as you do when
Right.
you're older. So what is your current job? What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm on the Marion City Council, and also the other job I have is as a Carterville police officer.
Okay.
And I'm also a licensed substitute teacher, but I do that kind of sparingly. And I also am licensed to sell insurance.
Oh, okay. So
So
we need
I'm
some
kinda-
insurance.
Hey, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of a jack of all trades, I guess.
Safe insurance.
Exactly.
Are you married or?
No, I have a girlfriend. We've been together for just shy of 14 years.
Okay.
We have a kid together. He's 12.
12.
Well, I have another kid too from a previous marriage.
Okay.
Right.
Older, younger?
He's 24.
24. Basically what's going to happen is Ellen's going to ask you the questions. She's going to read it out loud to you, and then we're going to let you answer, and then if we can elaborate, or we might get a question in or talk about it a little bit more. But if you answered it and there's nothing else really for us to say, we'll just move on. Sound good?
Do you think business diversity is important, and if so, why?
Yes, it is. I think that we have to have options for our populace, not only for amenities but also for employment options. And one of the things that I'm a little concerned with at times with Marion is that we have way too many service-related jobs, and that's all fine and good for us to be able to go out as families and have different choices for restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, we have to create more jobs that you can actually support a family with. Now, I know there's some legislation out there that addresses that, and hopefully it's done in a responsible way, so it won't have an unintended consequence of decreasing the amount of
One of the
jobs.
concerns that we hear from people who come in and out of our store or in our circles of friendships is that we see a lot of the same repetitive businesses.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel like that maybe that could change? What could be done in order to keep that from happening so that when people do come to visit our town, they're not like, well, telling their friends, word of mouth is
It's a cookie
best.
cutter city.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I went to every store and they're all the same, or I don't want to use stores that are everywhere.
Right.
They.
Well-
why
Everything
don't we
to
come
do.
back because
Right.
we have a variety. So how do we do that?
Well, one of the things I would like to do as mayor is I would like to convene an economic advisory council, and that'd be comprised of both business people and non-business people, like people with just eclectic ideas. And we'll meet on a fairly regular basis, and we'll talk about issues like that, business diversity, things that we're lacking, etc. And it'd be a volunteer thing. It wouldn't come out of the budget or anything. There's plenty of people in the community who would love to be a part of that.
Definitely.
Number two, we should have someone that works for the city, an economic development officer, who that's their only job, is just they focus on economic development, and that'd just be what their that'd be what they are paid to do.
Kind of like a city planner.
Right.
Yes, like we had a guy, and you guys are you from here?
I was born and
Yes.
raised here.
So
And
you've heard of a Doreen Fletcher. Back in the day, he was really good at economic development, and that's the kind of person I envision having working full time for Marion.
Okay, that's a really
Or a Cindy Bunch who does the Walker's Bluff.
Oh, okay.
Owns Walker's Bluff.
Okay.
People
Yeah.
with visions like that, but just a group of people working along with that person.
Right.
Right.
That's awesome. If elected by the people, what would be the first item on your agenda?
Well, one of the things that I think Marion needs, and I want a true gauge of our finances. I mean, there's a lot of speculation that we have financial liabilities that are unseen. I would like to conduct, an independent audit rather of all of our finances, because in order for Marion to plan ahead, I think it's important to know exactly where we stand financially, and that's the first thing I would do.
That's a very good.
I think it's a great place to start.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
can't spend money if you don't have it, or if you don't know you have it.
And that's one of the things, you know, I'm the type of guy that's like to plan ahead. When I first started on the council, I mean, I implored the council, I said, you know, why don't we have a retreat and we'll invite our superintendents and, you know, our department heads on the Saturday. We plan a 5, 10 or more year plan, and we set benchmarks on how to achieve that plan. Unfortunately, it didn't get a whole lot of traction. I mean, I was a little dismayed at that, quite frankly, but those are the type of things I like to do. And we shouldn't make any concrete plans unless we know exactly where we stand financially.
Right. Some things never change. What do you say to those people?
Well, it sounds like there's a little bit of a pessimistic tone there, but I'm an optimist, but I also temper it with realism. And I would just say to them, just hold on, you know, I'm coming. And then they'll see a change and for the better. I mean, some things shouldn't change, but there are some things that quite frankly should. And as my administration unfolds, that they'll see that I have a perfect balance. Another thing that people are a little dismayed when they talk to politicians in a pejorative sense. You know, people will tell you what you want to hear rather than what you need to hear. And I'll never do that. And I'm known for being a straight shooter. And, you know, that's what people respect about me.
Right.
And so I think I'm starting to make people believe in public servants again. And I'm very heartened by that.
Right.
How do we stop being a rest stop town, fill her up and use the restroom, and get people to, you know, hang out for a while?
Well, you touched on that earlier. We have to have more diversity in our businesses. We can't just have the same thing that other towns around there have. We have to create and make Marion truly a destination location, somewhere where people can say, you know what, let's go there. And that's part of the marketing thing. I don't think Marion market ourselves enough. I think we tend to treat Marion as a field of dreams. Okay, they'll just come to us without any effort, and that's where an economic development officer comes in, and that's also where economic advisory council comes in. You know, those are we need to be marketing Marion all the time. And I know they may do some of that, but I suspect it's not enough.
Right.
And that's where I come in.
What is the first step to revitalizing the downtown area?
Well, I mean, I actually answered it in a previous question. That's part of the things that the Economic Advisory Council will do. We'll look at areas that are blighted. Of course, to the extent we can legally, we can use TIF, which is tax incremental financing, and you guys are probably a little familiar with that. Those are the types of things that my Economic Advisory Council, as well as an Economic Development Officer, will be looking at. Ways to improve areas that are kind of ignored in a way, because we do a lot of westward expansion in Marion. But I think that we need to start paying more attention to our downtown area and east part of there.
The different parts of the city kind of need to go hand in hand, you know, so how do you accentuate that area over there without leaving us behind?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a perfect balance. It's going to take people who are well versed in those areas. I mean, there's going to be people who have, you know, that, you know, type of acumen. I mean, my background doesn't, you know, I mean, I'm not an economic development person. I mean, I do know a good idea when I hear one, and I do know how to inspire people to come up with ideas. But those are things that, you know, as a collective group that they have to discuss to figure out a perfect balance and make sure no part of the town is left behind.
The problems that the downtown area is facing are not something that can wait. You know, it's vital. One of the situations that we've been talking about a lot, seems to be the theme, is parking.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like, well, you know, we're gonna have to get to it, but, you know, we don't have time to wait for that. And I know that we're not the only business that has time to wait for a solution. We need a solution yesterday.
Right.
So, and there are other things too. And in cities where their historical or old town districts are falling apart or dying, you begin eventually seeing their newly developed areas begin to die. So they really do go hand in hand. Do you have have you thought about any of those things or ideas on?
I mean, actually, incidentally, the council has spoken about parking. I mean, we've had a parking issue. Probably every town in Southern Illinois, perhaps in the entire country, had parking issues. Now, as we've acquired certain properties that we would like to create into a parking area. It's probably going to get to a point where we need a parking garage,
Yes.
and not a parking lot.
Right, yeah.
Because I mean,
Right.
eventually you run out of space. So
And that's not a bad problem to have.
Yeah.
Every time people come into your business, your place of business, or we hear other business owners say the same thing, that parking is an issue, parking is an issue, parking is an issue. You know, how long can a business survive when that's the sentiment, or how many people are not coming in because the walk was so far that it wasn't worth it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and this family building, this building just next door to you guys, this has been vacant for a while. And then when I was on the police department, I mean, we were actually told to stop going inside. I mean, it's such a death trap in there. I don't know if the building's in litigation or what's going on there, but that we need to do something about that.
Right.
Now, from the outside, it doesn't look that bad, but the inside, it is. So, I mean, I hope at some point that something can be done with that,
And
and
I
if not,
think
tear it down and build a parking lot,
Right.
or a parking garage. Rather.
And the beauty of the downtown area is I think everyone really has been, all the businesses get along really well, and
Right.
everybody, you know, there's no bickering or anything like that.
Right.
It's just, you know, I think there needs to be some sort of dream board where we can, you know, start coming up with temporary plans
Kind of like
until
an
we get a
economic
permanent.
advisory
Right.
council.
Yeah. Okay, as a new governor takes the reins of the state, how can you encourage residents to stay or even to move in?
Well, I mean, I understand that in a lot of respects, each municipality in Illinois is in a precarious situation because we can't always directly control what Springfield does, but what we can control is when we send our local elected leaders, we can send them to Springfield to lobby on our behalf on issues that are important to us as Marionites.
Right.
And as mayor, I wouldn't hesitate to go to Springfield as often as possible, as well as talk to our local state legislators, state rep, state senate, etc., and just lobby them and say, hey, these are what my constituents are wanting. This is what's important to us. What can you do to deliver this? Right, exactly. We didn't use the bully pulpit of the mayor's office. I mean, that's what it's for. I mean, to advocate on behalf of its citizens.
Right.
Would you rather have everything on your cell phone right now, browsing history, photos, etc., be made public, for anyone who searches your name on Google to see, or never use a cell phone again?
Oh my God. I'm a Scorpio, so that's a tough one.
Hey, it's a tough question. Believe
Oh
me.
my God. I think I'll probably pick to not use a cell phone.
Would you rather be forced to dance every time you heard music, or forced to sing along with every song you heard?
I'm an extrovert, so neither one of those would bother me. It's just like an eeny, meeny, miny, mo type thing.
I would do both. Ellen,
Yeah, I do neither. So,
no, she gives me looks.
yeah,
No,
you
that's
guys are
okay.
in good company.
Okay. Would you rather lose all of your money and valuables, or all of the pictures you have ever taken?
That's another tough one. Oh my God.
And he's thinking, how is this relevant?
Right, I know,
This is right now.
I know.
This is cool. So would I rather lose all of the valuables I've ever had?
Yeah, like the money you got right now.
Like
your
everything right
investments,
now, it would
your
all
house,
just be like wiped
all-
away.
Yeah.
Or all your pictures just poof, be gone.
Well, that's it. I mean, of course you'd rather lose all your pick. I mean, is that maybe?
I don't
maybe
know,
I
like,
understand
I mean,
the
it's-
structure.
We've had different answers.
We have, and I think it just kind of,
Depends on.
would you rather be able to see 10 minutes into your own future or 10 minutes into someone else's future?
Well, 10 minutes into my future.
Would you rather drive a monster truck everywhere you have to go for the rest of your life, or a golf cart?
I would say monster truck because, of course, there's going to be different types of terrain and weather that a golf cart is just not practical
Right.
to drive on. So,
iPhone or Android?
iPhone,
Texting or talking?
talking,
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Haagen-Dazs.
Say a word. Oh, sorry, that's your turn.
That's me.
No, go ahead.
Say a word in Spanish.
Hola.
Do you believe in fate?
Yes, but I think that a person's actions can determine what their fate is.
That's interesting.
What's your favorite number?
23.
Who has it easier? Men or women?
Men.
Have you ever wore socks with sandals?
No.
Is double dipping at a party ever acceptable?
Negative.
Thanks for coming by, bringing us donuts.
Hopefully we didn't make you too nervous.
Oh, no,
you
you
know,
kidding?
But
Former military, police officer.
yeah,
This whole
exactly.
process, in fact, I mean, it's hilarious because people
Right.
think that I should be a lot nervous, and I don't feel any nervous about
Right.
it. This
Yeah,
is
well, that's
nothing.
good, man.
You know, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, even for me, I'm a little surprised.
Right. Well, that's cool though. I mean, maybe it's just what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So,
One thing.
your handy dandy little cup.
Oh.
You get to take that with you. So you can always see Tanie and Ellen, you know, have to, I don't know, drink coffee
Say
or
you knew us
water or
before we
something.
become number.
Exactly.